Something extraordinary just happened. A Japanese company and a Ukrainian drone startup just signed a defense partnership that is quietly reshaping the entire strategic landscape, not just in Ukraine, not just in the Pacific, but in the great power chess match between the United States and China. Stick them to the very end of this video, because we're going to break down exactly what this partnership is, why it's already humiliating Russia on the battlefield, and how Trump can use it as one of his most powerful levers to pry Putin away from Beijing. We're going to connect the dots like no one else. You're going to love this. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you make sense of the madness with breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. So let's start with the weapon itself. Japan's Terra Drone Corporation and the Ukrainian military tech company Amazing Drones have just produced something called the Terra A1, and it's a game changer. This is a 300 kilometer per hour interceptor drone, electric motor, near silent, virtually no heat signature, with a range of over 20 miles. Its entire purpose is to hunt and destroy Russian Shahed kamikaze drones mid-air. And here's the game changer. It's not just the tech, it's the cost inversion. The Terra A1 costs approximately $2,000 per unit. Meanwhile, Russia's Shahed drones cost around $50,000 each. Now, historically, the cost wars, as it were always in favor of the offensive weapons. So, for example, the Shahed drone costs 50 grand, but a Patriot missile designed to shoot one down costs like 2 to 4 million. So the cost disparity was always in favor of the aggressor. Russia has been exploiting that cost asymmetry for 2 years, flooding the skies with cheap drones and forcing Ukraine to burn through expensive interceptors. The Terra A1 just inverted that entire equation. Ukraine can now neutralize a Shahed at a fraction of the cost, literally 1/25th the cost. In the month of March alone, Russia launched over 6,000 kamikaze drones at Ukrainian targets. Now, at Terra A1 prices, Ukraine could fight that wave for a fraction of what it cost yesterday. The first production batch, 1,000 units, is already being assembled in decentralized underground facilities right in Kharkiv, right on the front line. Dispersed, hardened, invisible to Russian targeting. The goal is actually full autonomy, automatic launch, automatic target detection, automatic intercept, so no human operator required at any point. But this actually goes way beyond simply inverting the cost disparity. This is where the huge geopolitical ramifications come in. This partnership between the Japanese company and the Ukraine company, it's not just about drones. It's about Japan's first direct defense investment in Ukraine. I mean, this is huge given Japan's history, right? Japan, for the last 80 years, it's been constitutionally and frankly culturally allergic to military entanglement. Well, they just crossed the Rubicon here. Ukraine pitched the deal by offering something Japan desperately wants. They want real wartime combat expertise and naval drone technology, the same technology that drove Russia's Black Sea fleet from its own home port. Japan looked at that offer and they said yes immediately, because Japan is watching China across the Taiwan Strait the same way Ukraine is watching Russia across the Dnieper River. Japan has now earmarked nearly 280 billion yen for drone-heavy defense infrastructure in its 2026 budget. And what this Ukraine partnership is doing is it's basically fast-tracking Japan's military modernization by years, which is precisely what President Trump has been pushing Japan to do. And that's because a more militarily capable Japan forces China to keep the bulk of its strategic attention fixed on its eastern flank, which reduces Beijing's ability to simultaneously backstop Putin, Ukraine, let alone concern itself with Taiwan. This is the alliance architecture that Trump has been building now over this last year. And it's starting to close like a vice in a way that you may never have imagined. There's an even deeper grand strategy at work here. Those drones and Japan's militarization aren't just sending a message to China. It's sending another very clear message that may be the most decisive geopolitical chess move of the last 40 years. Wait until you see this. But first, we would all like to think that COVID is finally and decisively behind us. But what if the effects are still lingering in the body, especially the brain? A new study from NYU found something pretty alarming. People suffering from long COVID showed changes in a part of the brain responsible for protecting and cleaning brain tissue. Researchers are linking this to chronic inflammation and early warning signs of Alzheimer's disease. Now, this may help explain why more than 20 million Americans are still dealing with long COVID symptoms like fatigue, shortness of breath, and that frustrating brain fog. Scientists believe ongoing inflammation and spike protein exposure may be disrupting the brain's natural cleanup system. The wellness company's Ultimate Spike Detox is your solution. Created by Dr. Peter McCullough, this formula was designed to support the body's natural detox process and inflammatory balance. It contains 4 times the nattokinase found in competitor products, along with bromelain, turmeric, and selenium to support circulation and cellular cleanup. Lingering spike protein exposure could be getting the best of you. Detoxing may be one of the smartest things you can do. Give your brain a break. Get your bottle of Ultimate Spike Detox today. Head on over to twc.health/Turley and use code Turley to get 15% off. Again, that's twc.health/Turley. Use code Turley to get 15% off. What this partnership between Japan and Ukraine ultimately does is it hands Trump a lever that he can use to do something that's never been done before. Pull Russia away from China. That's the key. That's the Trump doctrine. Some analysts are calling it the reverse Nixon or the reverse Kissinger, right? It's exactly what it sounds like. Nixon went to China in 1972 to split Beijing from Moscow. Trump's play is to go to Moscow to split Putin from Xi. And here's why Russia's actually ripe for that approach right now. Bilateral Russia-China trade hit around $237 billion in 2024. But over 30% of Russian exports go to China, while Russia accounts for only about 3 to 5% of China's total trade. So it's very similar to the trade disparity, for example, between Canada and the United States. Russia sells its energy to China at 30 to 40% below the prices it used to get from Europe. Put bluntly, Moscow's not in a partnership with Beijing. Moscow's a vassal state. It's in a client relationship with Beijing. And Putin knows it. His nationalist base knows it. And it's frankly the single greatest source of strategic humiliation in the Kremlin today, being bought and paid for by Beijing. So this is where the Japan-Ukraine partnership comes in. It sends a message to Putin that the longer the war continues, the more capable and coordinated the Ukrainian opposition becomes. This is a huge long-term calculus inversion that's been happening now over the last 4 years. So originally, for the first, say, like 60, 70, 80% of this war, Russian forces, I'm no way around it, we've been reporting it straight from this channel, Russian forces have been absolutely overwhelming Ukrainian forces. I mean, they annexed 20% of eastern Ukraine, for heaven's sakes. But that force disparity has slowly but surely been dissipating over the last couple of years. Every month this war goes on means the technology gap grows wider and wider. All the while, Russia's dependence on China grows deeper and deeper. All the while, they're both being squeezed, each from the opposite side. China's being squeezed by a remilitarized Japan, and Russia's being squeezed by an increasingly technologically superior Ukraine. And that vice just hooked up together with this Japan-Ukraine partnership. So this is where Trump comes in. Trump can offer Putin an off-ramp, a ceasefire, sanctions relief, economic normalization, a path back to the table with the West on terms that give Moscow a reason to stop mortgaging its sovereignty to an already Tokyo-pressured Beijing. The key here is that the Japan-Ukraine axis, which is serving as a vice on both Russia and China, makes that offer more compelling with every passing week because it demonstrates that the alternative, continued war, continued isolation, continued dependence on China, ends with Russia as a permanent vassal state of the country it is historically feared most, and a country that's increasingly on its heels by virtue of a remilitarized Japan. So this isn't charity to Putin. This is cold strategic logic. And it's exactly the kind of deal making, hard pressure plus a golden exit ramp that we just saw, that we would just watch work so well on Iran just this morning. The legacy media being so infected as they are with TDS, they're never going to connect these dots. But the architecture is there. Japan, Ukraine, the Indo-Pacific, Eastern Europe, all of it tightening like a vice around Beijing and Moscow simultaneously, while Trump holds out his hand to Moscow and says, hey, there's another option. Why don't you decouple away from Beijing and join us? So obviously we'll be keeping a very close eye on the developments between Russia and Ukraine. But once again, we can see that while others are playing checkers, Trump and his allies like Japan are playing chess. And it does appear that both China and Russia are increasingly trapped. Friends, listen. We are not watching the decline of Christian civilization. We are watching its reawakening. I've written a free ebook, The Reawakening of Christian Civilization, and a free 3-part video series to go with it. The whole package is yours at no cost. Scan the QR code on your screen right now or hit the link in the description. Go grab it. It's all waiting for you.